Hello and welcome to our show. And by our show, it means Mike's show, my show, and your show. Hello.
Hi. Lessons learned. We,
Well,
we
yeah,
hope to learn some today. And my mic button that has a short in it, doesn't it?
yes.
Yeah, that's not good.
You seem a
Okay.
little short today, Mike. Okay.
Yes.
So, so what we thought we'd do is we did talk to you about some of the things that the city councilor said, Grant Pass City Councilor said about their lessons that they learned from this idea of presenting you a sales tax. And actually, now watch this. This is live and interactive. The answer is, oh, now they can't. Oh, it was supposed to happen before you made noise. Okay.
Oh,
It's
I'm sorry.
oh,
I
wow, you're really loud. Do you want to start over again? Now I can't hear you at all.
That's because I muted my microphone. I don't want to be interjecting when I'm not supposed to.
Okay, all right, we'll be okay. Now watch this. It's special effects. Come on, it's just as good as Star Wars. Watch this. Now, see, you're making noise again. See, the thing is, we have an automatic deal where the camera jumps back and forth when you make noise. So it will jump if Mike makes a noise. So
Yeah, but you can lock it on your end, though.
I'm stretched in two directions. Okay. Shh. This is not going to be worth it now. Oh, and I worked so hard on getting it just right. Okay, so have they learned any lessons? No, they have not learned any lessons. It wasn't worth the
Wow.
wait.
No, I was going to say, wow, that was really worth the wait. And you're
Well,
right.
but
Better than Star Wars. I mean, you have the technology that allows people to look as though they're whipping a lightsaber around, and then you have this.
uh, well, look, you don't know what it takes to get them to line up perfectly so that when you jump one to the other, everything else doesn't. Oh, never mind. Okay, look. So, have the city councilors learned any lessons? Here's your first clue. Your second clue is they're city councilors. Okay.
Why does that have to go together? I mean, it really shouldn't,
No,
but it does kind of seem to.
it does kind of seem to. Now, I kind of like this first guy. I kind of do. But I divided his little speech, and we'll put the whole thing up so you can see it without us blathering away about it. But I kind of like Dan DeYoung, but every sentence he says, you're going, what did he just say? It's almost unbelievable. Go ahead and play the first one, and then it'll go to black, and we'll talk, and then play a second sentence, and you'll see. You'll see what I mean.
We're getting a whole bunch of bad press outside the county. The latest thing came out about that we're one of the poorest communities in the whole United States, and so on and so forth. And I guess it's warranted. I'm not a man of numbers and figures, and I guess it's warranted.
Well, yeah. Now, why would you think that in a place that's supposed to be the ninth poorest in the whole United States, we're counting places like Alabama. Sorry for those who are from Bama, but I mean, there's places in the United States that are dirt poor, and we're the ninth lowest in the whole nation, according to this. And so, what was the solution that the Grants Pass City Council suggested, Mike?
Slap a sales tax on them guys.
Good gosh.
Yeah, I know. And listen, there are clearly people that moved here that have more money, because the statistic, you have to understand that there's a lot of people with money on account in banks here. But that's their retirement. That doesn't mean that, I've got so much money, I'm just going to spend it all, and then there's people that have, I think that study was per capita income, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So that explains that. And that's why. So, but it does tell you that the working people in this town, in this county, are among the lowest in the nation in terms of the the quality of life that they're able to gain from the income that they have. So yeah, let's tax them a little bit more. That's the problem. We're not taxing them enough.
And that survey that was done isn't even the county, it's just the city. And you would think, some people would think, I think, that more people living in the city have jobs than those that live out in the county. I mean, daily, everyday paying jobs. Because that's where a lot of the work is.
Makes sense to me.
So even though it's just the city, that's pretty bad. And so their solution again was what, Mike?
Raise taxes.
And what was their solution last year? Raise taxes.
Hang on. Look, I was going to check the book here. Oh yes, raise taxes. Yes.
And the year before, 6 months before that.
Yeah, I think that was raise revenue.
Right. Yeah. And then 6 months before that,
increase taxation.
It just never stops.
Yes, it's different every time though.
And in a place that's economically prosperous, maybe you can get away with that, but not here, not now. And they need to be told by an outside polling firm about this. They can't look around and see for themselves. They look around like Cheryl Walker does and say, I see prosperity everywhere I look. Snap out of it.
Yeah. I mean, the unfortunate thing is because of us having to go back and forth about should we tax people more? Should we get more taxes for law enforcement? We're having that debate all the time instead of understanding that the reason why we're in this situation that we are is because government has a boot on our neck and says, stay right there. And by the way, beg for some gruel, and that's our lot in life unless we change that somehow. We should be talking to the monster with the boot on our neck, but we can't even get.
It's a grueling experience for sure.
Yes. So we can't even get around to that because we're having to bat down this idea that, we need to increase taxation every 6 months.
So one of the possible solutions for this that I've suggested is that you declare, you can't stop people from putting stuff on the ballot, but you declare your desire for a 4-year moratorium. And all that it means is, please, would you listen to us? Let's have a break, okay? A 4-year break. 4 years ought to be long enough. And then if you say during that period of time, we'd prefer not to, then maybe, and change the government, okay? And we could do that here. Maybe they will actually consider some other ideas. Well, where are your ideas? We had a 3-hour, it was over 3 hours, town hall at the Ann Basker, where people were coming in and presenting ideas, and the commissioners shot every single one of them down. Why? They brought in their own staff experts and said, oh, that won't work, this won't work, that won't work, this won't work. Oh, a tax, yes, that would work. That won't work, this won't work. Oh, another tax, yes, I like that idea too. The only ideas that they gleaned out of that whole thing is, well, sure does look like taxes are our only possibility. Really?
Well, you know what? And unfortunately, it seems to be the standard operating procedure all over the nation. Doesn't matter where you go. The higher taxes is all there is. There is no.
We can put a stop to it here. We have the ability. Look, there are some people that said, well, the Vatican is doing this, and even if you move to Vatican City, you're not going to be able to do anything about whatever you think they're doing. There's nothing you can do. But you live here. Forget about the Vatican thing. It's just crazy.
Yes, that's a little confusing.
You live here, and here you can do something about it. And the first thing that you need to do is replace the current people. The way the power structure is set up, I'm not making this up, it's set up so that it only takes 2. And this next election is for those 2 people. Yeah. You actually have the ability to turn it around and say, no, we don't want to do that. Did you know that you cannot put even an advisory question on the ballot? There's no provision in state law to allow you to put an advisory question on the ballot unless you got 2 commissioners to say, we're going to let you put one on the ballot. Oh, thank you. Well, don't thank us. We're supposed to be serving you. So you get 1,000 signatures or whatever. I mean, the commissioners could make up a rule, or they could do it for you. You could come and say, we'd really like to have something on the ballot. Say, please spend more on the, it's not called a dog kennel. Spend more on the animal shelter. There could be an advisory question. There can be. And why shouldn't there be 12 advisory questions on every dang ballot? Because these guys don't want to know what you're thinking.
Well, they should have put one out about this sales tax. They might have got a little bit of a preview.
Absolutely. And they got an earful already. And they said that they were listening, and they were forced to listen, but they were tone deaf, as Mike says. They didn't want to hear it. Okay, let's see what else this guy has to say.
But one of the things that we really up here as a council and across the parking lot at the Board of County Commissioners and anybody that's involved with their community is the concern about public safety. I think one of the big things that hits the newsreels everywhere is the lack of public safety in some of the ONC strapped county.
Now,
yeah.
So what are the county commissioners doing about that?
Yeah, not much, but I'm going to take issue a little bit, and boy, everybody's going to hate this. First you got to prove to me that there is a lack of public safety, that there is some discernible difference between full funding and where we're at right now. The numbers don't show it. So, and if the numbers are bogus, no one has yet made a decent case for bogus numbers yet. They say, I feel my neighbor just got broken into, my uncle got murdered, okay. That doesn't make the numbers wrong. So tell me why the numbers are wrong. And they hate the numbers now. You would think that the facts, the facts are everything in this situation. No, they're not. The facts are what they're trying to run away from. Every single appeal that they ever have is to emotion and to panic and that type of thing. So, I reject the guy's.
Well, I started off on this whole thing, as you know, and I've confessed a couple of times when we were hearing that the crime numbers were down all over the country. I said, nah, you guys are going to, this guy and Bill Hunker, you're just going to have to prove it to me. And then the more stats we saw, and the more and the more and the more, and then what we were getting out of the sheriff and the supporters for the levy were anecdotal evidence, which is nice, but where are the numbers? Well, you should believe us. Well, okay, present the numbers to us. Well, there aren't any numbers, but you should believe us.
There aren't any numbers because no one is reporting crime anymore.
But you're the guys that are reporting the crime. And if you're going to stop reporting the crime and we've got to believe in you, believe in what? Believe in just what you're telling us?
Oh, no. They said that, people aren't, they won't make the phone call because, it's not worth their effort.
Well, remember the guy
stole my Cadillac and, there's not enough police presence in the county. I'm not going to make the call.
Yeah, right. Because you don't even want the insurance money.
Yeah.
Of course you don't. Remember the guy last night, the night before. Well, going back to the 80s, it hasn't improved any. Well, that's when we had full funding. Or the lady that said, well, there's not enough law enforcement in Cave Junction. Cave Junction has more, there's only one guy, but it has more law enforcement per 1,000 people than we do anywhere in the county. And they don't have enough.
Sheriff presence. The city of Grants Pass has a pretty good presence here. There's a lot of cops and they have a pretty good setup. But yeah, and I don't want to get too far off of what that guy was saying. I think what happens is they're inside a culture, and inside that culture, taxation is the answer to everything. And we have to find a way to get the money to do this. If we can't find the money to do this, you have failed, and so taxation is the only answer that they ever have. And so, I think generally we're stuck with that until we can somehow, find gold here somewhere that's, large nuggets. All you have to do is, do a little sweeping on the top of the ground, and there they are. And that will revive the economy, and all of those problems will be over with.
Well,
until that happens, taxation.
Current county commissioners have said even at gold, literally gold, not talking about cannabis, but even literally gold. Well, we haven't seen any of that come into the county's bank account. And if you want to make a donation, you've got to be kidding me. That's really what your answer is?
Yeah, but listen, everybody knows this who's, older than say 30, have experienced times of economic boom. And so when that's happening, it's a palpable thing. You can feel that everybody's doing better. There's a lot more money. The work has always been more profitable during those times. And so that's something that you can feel, that it is. Okay. And that isn't happening now. And when those situations are there, government makes more money because they're doing more business. People are doing more business and they're cranking out permits and they're, doing this and that and the other thing. And more tax money's coming in, more homes are being built, more, more taxation is coming in that way. And then when people are doing better, you can even actually get people that'll say, yeah, I'll pay some more tax because I want more services here, and people will be amenable to that.
But now is not that time.
Now isn't that? It's clear. It's so clear. But the problem is you get these counselors, you get these commissioners, they're living inside of a culture that says more tax money, we must have more tax money. And
it's the only solution. It's the only solution.
Yeah, right. It's the only solution.
It's like dealing with these guys at SOS. It's like one of the candidates for commissioner, okay? All that the guy talks about is one thing. Well, I'm really about other things. No, you're not. SOS. Well, we're not really just about the levy. Yes, you are. Oh, look, we're having a runaway from the law, thing. Yeah, but we know why you're doing it, to gather money so you can put ads together talking about raising our taxes. You just can't, we're not idiots. We know what you're doing. Okay, one single issue. The other thing that Dan DeYoung was talking about was, we're getting publicity all over the country, and it's negative about our law enforcement. Now, why do you think people in New Jersey even know about this? Because you're pumping it out there, buddy. You're the one. You and the sheriff and the others are. Things are really going bad here. Really, stop saying it.
Right. And they're doing that as a means of trying to get people all frightened and to vote for the levy. I mean, they're not going to stop doing that, though. You understand that they're not going to stop doing that because they just assume that there's a small number of us that have got their number, and the rest of the people, they can gin up a fair amount of fear in some of them all of the time.
It's never working. It never works. Never works. This last time, even with Grants Pass City voters, 80% no. That's a pretty solid no. Now, you talk with Roy Lindsay, well, that's just people who refuse to be educated. Even if they did, Roy, 80%.
Well, and here's another thing. When the levy push is on,
it's already on.
Yeah, but I mean, when it's on in earnest here, you have people talking about it all the time, about public safety. Now that there's no genuine push happening right now, no one's talking about it. No one's saying, "Oh my God, it's so crazy." I mean, a few people are saying, "Oh gosh, it's horrible here," but then there's some people. Those are the only people that are getting on camera, but I don't think that there's a great number of people going, this is just such a horrible place and crime is rampant. I don't see that.
They didn't mention it at all at today's weekly business session of the county commissioners. They didn't mention it last week. They didn't mention it the week before. And there were people who were coming every single time there was any kind of meeting, and the commissioners would never let up on it. And as soon as, it was like day and night. As soon as it was over, the levy didn't pass, they didn't want to talk about it anymore. Not at all.
Yeah.
We were talking about it because we said, hey, we still need this. Yeah. Well, there's other things to be. Oh, don't forget about earthquakes. What? Don't forget about emergency striping needs. What? Keep going with Dan. Is amazing here what he's saying. Go ahead, next little clip here.
And it seems like there's a group of people that wants to blame everything on government officials when in actuality, they're not really interested in getting the foundation for most communities is safety.
And what would that be?
And
Taxation.
Who's not interested? He's talking about us. He's talking about the people who watch this show. You and I are not interested in public safety. We're not interested in public safety.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
we're only interested in blaming him and his pals. Really?
Yeah. I don't blame. I blame him for coming up with taxation as a plan. And listen. See, it's easy for them. The only way the only thing that's difficult is that they have to find some way of dressing it up in an exterior that people will swallow. That's what the problem is for them. I get that. I guess being a counselor or a commissioner is a hard job because, you find yourself in this situation. You have to advocate for higher taxation. Have to. It's what's expected of you amongst the people in that room and the staff that you interact with and things like that. That's what they expect. And if you aren't doing that, you're going to be looked down upon. I'm pretty sure that that's what goes on there. And so it's difficult for these guys. Listen, I got an idea. Why don't you just say, listen, I realize it's not popular with the people that I work with, but I'm not for more taxation. This is a difficult job to do right now. And sometimes you're just going to have to go against the grain. No more taxation for these people. Let's see let's investigate how we can get out of their way more as opposed to getting in their way more. I think a sales tax is getting in their way more. And that is not going to help the economy. It's not going to be popular with the people at large. And listen, this is a tough thing. We're in a crappy economy right now. So, let's not act like we can solve all our problems at the expense of the people who are suffering the most under these conditions. Now, people that work inside city staff and the commissioners and people that work inside county government, times are not bad for them. This is boom time for them. They're getting paid just as good as they ever were, more. So things aren't bad for them, and they can't understand why things are so. Why can't you just come to your senses and pay more money into the kitty that pays my salary? Why can't you do that? Well, that should answer your own question right there.
The thing that's amazing to me is you got, let's say, 83 people inside county government that you're going to see on an everyday basis. If maybe you've got 83,000 out there to say, no, we don't want this. Now, so you're going to be popular with the 83 inside the courthouse instead of the 83,000 that always tell you what they want. It shouldn't be any mystery to you. They keep voting and voting and voting and voting and voting and voting because you insist on it, but you keep voting against them. Well, who are you representing? That answers itself. You're representing the 83 inside the building. Well, how much guts does it take? How much imagination does it take to say, you know what? I think I'm going to go with the winning team.
Right. Well, who are your peers here? Who is it that you're working for?
Well, we know the answer to that question.
Yeah, and perhaps maybe you should do a little bit more of what Roy Lindsay claims he did, and go out and talk to your people, poll them, as it were, and actually listen to what their responses are. And then maybe you'll be a little bit more tied in. And the next time this thing comes around, instead of sucking up to your friends in local government for their approval, you'll say the approval that I want is the people out there, and the people tell me this is a loser. So
we've got this little show. We're two goofy guys with a little show that's more popular than the weekly business session and more popular than watching the city council. Okay. And people are agreeing with us. And we're going to give you some things that you can possibly do. Oh, not things that I can do. Yes, we're going to give you some things you can possibly do to affect this stuff. But here we are, just two guys that are swimming in and among the rest of you who, and we agree, and we always win. And every time we've predicted an election, it always happens 100% of the time. So these guys, well, I'm so mystified, I don't understand. That's right, you don't understand. But you could listen to the people a little bit more who are telling you what to do. Well, where are your ideas? We're telling you all the time. Well, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Take your hands off your ears.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, play the next little clip.
I mean, that is your foundation. If I'm not safe going to a restaurant, I don't go to that restaurant anymore. My family's not safe going to the county fair. I won't go to the county fair anymore.
Okay, wait a minute. Where is that happening to anybody? Are you somehow barred from going to McDonald's or Pizza Hut or you know, the 115 broiler or the county fair? Is it too unsafe? Really? Are we having killings, stabbings happening there? People being run over by wayward vehicles? What the heck is going on here? You see what happens?
He's mentioning this at a public meeting.
Yeah, well, you see what happens when you're living in that environment. Those people, those stories get slinged around inside of there, not outside. Who would say that outside?
Except now he's actually sharing it with the public. It's one thing to have this skewed perception of safety. I'm not safe at a restaurant.
Yeah.
But it's another thing to bring it up at a city council meeting. Admittedly, it's at the end. Nobody ever listens to their protected time. And you probably got half a dozen people. We're showing you now. You haven't seen this. This is what they say after the crowds are gone. This is what they say during their protected time when they're patting each other on the back about what a great job they've done representing you.
Well, and you know what? Listen, I don't want to ride Dan DeYoung here.
Oh, he's one of many.
Yeah, he's one of many. But the thing is that what's going on here is that they're really subject to their peers in this situation, and so they don't. This is the kind of stuff that's acceptable to say because they're probably talking to one another in these kind of terms.
They are.
They're probably griping about you and how stupid you are because you didn't vote for the sales tax, which would have been the solution to your problem, but you're just too dumb to know it.
That's exactly what they're going to say in the upcoming little clips. This is amazing insight, and it's out there. It was just hard for us to get our hands on this. I still don't like the quality of this, but at least I had to goof around with and get the audio to match up because they weren't matching. He was talking, and then he'd say something actual. So, their version that they're making that we're grabbing, finally able to get our hands on, this isn't nearly good enough, is at least enough for you to see what. Remember last night when the pictures were all like this, that was awful. But we're trying to bring you this stuff, and you can see for yourself, this is what they're saying to each other. Well, it's not safe at a restaurant. It's not safe at a restaurant. What universe are you living in?
Listen, the unsafety at a restaurant, and I hate to even cast this aspersion, comes more from that you might get some bad food than be accosted by a criminal. I just don't see that happening anywhere. Listen, hey, if that's somehow happening to you around around the county, please write us an email and tell us how unsafe it is for you to go eat out. Okay, because we'd really like to know about that.
All right, look, here's the thing. I'm happy to start this off with Dan DeYoung because a lot of people like Dan DeYoung. We had Lily Morgan on the show the other day, and she says, I like that Dan DeYoung. I think most people kind of like him. But even Dan DeYoung is saying this. Dan DeYoung is using as an example, if you're not safe at a restaurant, if you're not safe at the county fair, Dan, what are you saying? You really believe that? You're using this as your example? And that's a guy that you like. There's something wrong with these guys.
Well, if these anecdotes are so real, then why don't you give us one that we can actually identify with because it's actually happening? I'm sure that there are individual cases where crime is taking place in one place or another, but I don't believe that it's incredibly higher than it is anywhere else, especially violent crime. We know that violent crime is down.
Well, and now I like this Bill Meyer guy, and I'll be on the show again Monday, blah, blah. Okay, every Monday. And I like him, but he says, and he said this more than once, is when he drives through Cave Junction, when he's driving, not parked, he keeps his windows rolled up because, crime. Now, that's a guy that lives in Medford, okay? And he keeps his windows rolled up while he's driving through Cave Junction. Good gosh. But this guy lives in Grants Pass. He knows better than this. And he feels maybe unsafe when he's at a restaurant in Grants Pass. That's a serious mental problem. I like the guy, but this is a skewed perception. No wonder they're saying, "Oh, it's an emergency. They've got better coverage here than any place probably in all of Southern Oregon." It's not nearly enough. He's not talking about driving around to Cave Junction to have something to eat at the Dairy Queen. He's talking about eating here in Grants Pass, and he feels maybe unsafe. There's something wrong here. These guys don't have a good perception of what's happening in this area. Look at this. That's crazy talk. Yeah. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're wrong, Dale. No, it's give me more money talk is what it is.
Let's hear what he has to say next. Who knows?
But safety is number one, and I don't understand how that falls apart when it comes time to vote and cast your vote to support something that goes directly toward public safety.
Because it doesn't go directly for public safety. We proved that. We showed everybody that, you remember the clip where they're saying, let's keep it purposely vague? You should not forget that. I'm not going to let you forget that. That's exactly what they said. And if we thought it was going directly for that, Mark Gatlin was telling people, along with his campaign manager, Sherry Adkins, that there won't be any money sucked off for the commissioners. That's not true. But they were willing to tell you that, even though that couldn't go on the piece of paper because that's a false statement and the state never would have allowed that. So they were telling you kind of secretly.
Listen, in this last clip, he didn't say that you're stupid for not voting for it, but he did say you were stupid for not voting for it. He said, I can't understand why, there's this disconnection between, paying for public safety and your brain or whatever.
Actually getting public safety, yeah, there's a disconnect. All right, yep. I want public safety, but I want to be sure the money's going to the right place. It's like that story I told you. Oh, are you for fire departments? Well, of course I am. Where are you? Well, we like fire departments too. And where are you? Yes, we sure think that you should donate to fire. Where are you? Well, we're in Florida. And you're helping her at their local fire department? Click. And of course I like fire departments, but not ask somebody to give them money in Florida.
Right. Yeah. But even this situation here, people don't feel like that. They're not motivated by the bait that's out there. It's like, hey, if you pass this, you'll get a better this over here. Well, I don't want a better this over here. No, you really do want a better this over here. Well, clearly they don't. They don't feel as threatened as you'd like to have them believe that they're threatened.
They don't feel threatened when they eat at a restaurant downtown Grants Pass, Mike? What's the matter with them?
Yes, apparently they don't. And so,
that's crazy talk. That's crazy talk, buddy. That's crazy. I like Dan DeYoung, but that's crazy, Dan.
Yeah.
Well, I said if. Okay. Nice example there, Dan. Next clip.
Well, maybe he's got a better one. But if you do have a better one, why don't you use it when the time comes for you? Obviously, people thought about what they were going to say before this sort of thing. They do that. They know they've got their time coming up and they've got to have, a few minutes to say whatever. Why didn't you use something real? Well, maybe because there isn't anything real for you to use. So you make up something to trump it up for the next time.
It's not adding to the credibility that you say that is lacking. It can't.
They're in pursuit of the approval of the wrong people.
Yeah, the 83 instead of the 83,000. Next clip.
Right.
We heard it loud and clear. As I told the Daily Courier today, I was fairly certain it was going to fail, but I didn't think it would fail that bad.
This is a disconnect from what he just said.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
I thought it was going to fail. Why did you go ahead with it? Why did you keep writing letters to the editor? Why did you keep making speeches? I didn't think it was going to fail that bad.
Right. And
brother.
And he wanted them to have the extra money because they're so nice to him and they keep telling us how much they need it. So I wanted him to have the money that he needs for his department. And see, but still, this reminds me of the day after the levy failed in May. JJ Schofield was on social media saying how stupid the people of the county were. Okay, so this is the thinking down there. Now, I want, if you're a city councilor, why don't you break from everybody else and say, hey, listen, what I want is the approval of my constituents.
Oh, that would be unusual.
Well, yes, it would be, but you guys are all crazy here because you're talking about your people like they're horrible, and you know what? My people don't want to pay for that. And listen, you know, this is America. If we want to pay for something, we put it on the ballot, and then if it passes, we pay for it. If we don't, then we take what the people have said and you honor it.
Oh, no. What you do is you go to a meeting of the Republican Central Committee and you say, 1, this is an illegal election. 2, you don't understand what you're voting for. 3, I want to reverse this vote and shut down the Republican Central Committee headquarters if you don't vote my way.
Sour grapes.
All that happened. These are the Republican headquarters guys.
Here's the thing. If you're considering running for some of these open positions as a city councilor or either of the 2 commissioner seats, and you are thinking like this guy, and listen, roll this show back and watch it again, okay? If you see that you're thinking the same way this guy is, save us all some trouble and don't bother.
Like that. Thank you for the endorsement, Mike. I'll be running. No, go ahead and play the next clip.
It is what it is. And, you know, we're proud of the fact that the city council brought an alternative to the community, put it on the ballot.
And it's too bad you were just too stupid to like it.
Wait, they're proud of this is what happened at most of the rest of this meeting. Okay. Even if we stop now, it will be enough. They're patting each other on the back. We're proud of each other. You're proud of each other.
Let's not stop now. I'm dying to see the rest of this. Here.
Oh, man.
You know, okay, because this is just one guy who I think you said most of us, if we're sitting there having a conversation, probably like this guy.
Yes.
And listen, this is the insidious thing. This is what happens to people. You wonder what happens to people when they get to the state capitol or they get to Washington, D.C. You wonder what happens to them. This is exactly what happens to them times 10.
This is a nice, likable guy, but he's increasingly showing symptoms of what we call fudge swirl. Okay, it's a big vat of vanilla ice cream. You go, ooh, yeah. Only problem is there's a fudge swirl in the middle. Okay, but it's not fudge.
Yeah.
And even for Dan DeYoung, I like Dan. But this is really, I'm proud of the fact that we put this, we begged you not to put it on the ballot. We said it was going to be defeated. I even had people on our side that were arguing, no, it's not going to be defeated like that, Dale. It's probably going to be 50-50. I said, well, I'm thinking maybe, 80. 80, you got to be wrong.
But you see what's happening, though, is that now that they understand that they were wrong, now they have to rationalize that, make themselves feel better about what they did. So somebody else has to be the stupid one, not
you. You're just too hard on them. Why? They were just trying to do the best of their ability. You know what? If that's the best of their ability, that's not good enough, buddy.
I believe
to us at all.
I believe that they probably think that, but listen, you got to understand, you're going to have to actually think outside the box. Any of those people inside local government, don't listen to them. Okay?
Yeah.
Because all they can tell you is exactly what business as usual is. And guess what people who vote people out and vote other people in want? Not business as usual.
Well, just look at the math. Just look at the math. Look at the junk ordinances. 80%. Look at
Yes.
the last 10 years. Every time it's defeated.
And the sales tax, you can call that 80% too.
80%. And as that being the case, you have mathematical proof. Now, Roy Lindsay, I studied chemistry in school. Roy, did you look at any math at all? You're losing every time. Does this tell you anything?
Well, yes, yes, it is telling them something. It's telling them that we are stupid.
Well, you
That's
heard
what
what
it's
you
telling
heard
them.
what the clerk said. Those who question government are morons.
Listen, I mean, we ought to line up, speaking of anecdotes here, we ought to line up a whole bunch of them for which we have video proof or something like that. We could just stack up a whole bunch of these people saying how stupid you are.
Yeah.
And either you will succumb and go, you know what? I am stupid. I should start listening to this person. Or you'll go, I'd like to have somebody in there who says that they're not going to listen to the management that keeps saying, you need to thin out some of these management herd here.
Oh,
and somebody
the
ask
problem.
them, hey, do you got a different idea? How about why don't you thin out some of your department there and let's free up some of that cash to do for other things? Because you know damn well nobody watching this believes for 1 second that they're running trim and slim down there in Grand. That is not happening. Oh, come on. Come on.
Really, all that you need to do is either you believe in math or you don't. Okay. Liars lie. Yeah, I get it. But look, you know how you voted if you live in Grants Pass this last time and how the vote ended up. Just mathematically looking, okay? Even I had to come around to the idea that the crime rate's dropping. And I definitely came around to the idea that people did a cost-benefit analysis and decided what they wanted to do with public safety in their area. And you've heard people say from a long time ago, it really never was any good. We were always on our own, okay? We all know that that's the case. Now that they're trying to gin us up again already for the next thing, can we look at any numbers at all?
Well, okay.
Can you look at this last vote? 80-20. Does it matter to you?
Well, and listen, let's look at some numbers because there is an element of the crime that is up. And for, the people who haven't seen every one of our episodes with Bill Hunker on, which are very informative, the last time we did, it showed that property crime is up.
Absolutely.
Violent crime and what is it? There was personal crime or whatever. I forget those statistics.
Crimes of passion are always about the same. They're crazy.
Yes, but the bottom line is that stuff is down.
Yeah.
The thing that is up is property crime. And you know how you fix that? You do things that make it more conducive to a decent economy. When people have money, they don't need to steal stuff. Okay. So more work, less theft. That's how it works.
Yeah. Okay. Next little clip from these guys. No lessons learned.
We aren't trying to sneak it behind anybody's back. Brought it right out in the light of day and called it a sales tax, just like it is. Would have called it anything else, they'd have said, "See, you're trying to hide it."
What in the world is he talking about here, Mike? We did it out in the open, as opposed to what?
Yeah.
We did it out. Don't gloss over this one, anybody. We did it out in the open. We called it a sales tax because that's what it is. Except when we were both in the courtroom, we've played for you the video, and Mark Bartholomew, who's sitting there just a few feet away from him, said the main point of this proposal that's on the ballot is not a sales tax. It's not. You could just see me going, what? And he says, no, the main point is taking taxes down, is eliminating taxes. And they're trying to make it seem as if it's all about the sales tax. He said that.
Yeah. Well, and the funny thing about this is what he's saying is that, we didn't try to hide it from you and you still were too dumb to vote for it or something.
How could they hide it from us? I'll tell you how they could hide it from us. What is the deciphering of what he just said? Because that's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. The reason that he's saying that is they could have passed this without a vote. They said this is what Mark Bartholomew said. So they didn't need to bring it to the public. They didn't even need to tell you about it until it was all over, until you got it on your bill. We brought it right out in front of you. We put it on the ballot. Yes, we expect that. Well, we didn't need to put it on the ballot. That's what Mark Bartholomew said. But you listen to Roy Lane. No, he never said that. Yes, he did. No, he didn't. It's not on the tape. It's not on the tape.
All right. What's next?
Go ahead.
So my hat comes off once again to the city council. I know you've been, kind of today was kind of a bad day myself. I reported to Stratton Creek and spent my day in the mountains, collecting my own thoughts, came back here with a big grin on my face, ready to attack it again. So thank you, Mayor, for indulging me there for a minute. I just wanted to express my thoughts on that.
So now he's back in town with a big grin on his face.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had,
ready to attack the voters for being stupid.
Numerous times that we're not following the will of the people. And the things that we've done, that's exactly what we have been doing for the city, for the people of the city of Grants Pass.
Oh.
Not the county, not the state.
Maybe I'm wrong, Dale.
Our marijuana, our cannabis problems, and things like that.
Marijuana?
We're following what the people told us when it was in the vote.
What?
Wow. The people told him that that they wanted a sales tax, and boy, they pulled the rug out from under him. Those people are bad.
Ken was the only person who, besides Lily, and Ken was he was lukewarm. He was about 50-50, and now he's saying, well, we were following the will of the people. What are you saying? Following 80%, Ken, 80%.
He would probably rationalize that by saying that the people wanted some sort of a solution to this problem. And of course, when you ask people, do we need to have a solution to this problem? They go, yes, we do need to have a solution to the problem. But
well, it just
doesn't really work that way.
It's just us and our viewers. Really? Is that it? Is that really it?
No, clearly it isn't it, because 80-20, they just lost that vote by 80-20. Listen, this isn't hard. You could be the hero of the people in Grants Pass. Just say, hey, listen, you have told us that you don't want more taxation. You don't want another burden on local economy. So we're not going to do it. We're not going to float that. Thank you very much. And I'm going to stand for that, even though all of these people around me are they're looking at me with, needles shooting out of their eyes at me because they want more of your tax money so that they can spend it on God knows what. Some of it's going to be on public safety or whatever, but they want more of your money. If there's one thing that you always know, and I'm sounding like a crazy person here, government always wants more of your money. Always. It doesn't matter how sane you think they are. They always want more of your money. Always. So I'm for, making them get by with what they have, or actually cutting some. Wouldn't that be nice?
How in the world can even this guy say, because he was half against it, right? How in the world can he say we were doing the will of the people?
Well, listen, now they have to tell themselves that, because see, they were probably all gearing up for the big celebration that they were going to have when the sales tax passed. And they were going to say, see, we are doing the will of the people. Now they want to say the same thing, even though clearly it's not true.
It would be better to say, you know what? We were so totally wrong. Has we ever been totally wrong? We were totally wrong. We're sorry. We apologize to you. Not we're proud of each other. Not we're doing your will. But you'd have a lot more credibility
going forward if that's how you approach this thing and say, listen, you know what? Obviously, we got our head handed to us here, and I really need to, have some personal soul searching about how I'm going to go forward here, because obviously what I was thinking before was not correct. And
when you look over your shoulder and you think you're a leader, you look over your shoulder and there's nobody following you, then you're not a leader. Now, you've got a couple of alternatives. One is you could say, you know what? I've learned a lesson, and actually you have learned a lesson, and talk like you've learned a lesson. Or you could quit and run for county commissioner. Or you could stick in there and say, you know what? We were right all along. And I'm just so proud of ourselves. And let's pat each other on the back. And we obviously have been doing the will of the people. What in the world are you saying?
So far, the only one of these counselors that has any type of bragging rights is Lily Morgan.
That's right.
because she opposed the sales tax, and so she can walk out of there with her head high and know that she was representing her people
and separate herself from all this happy horse stuff happening now.
Right.
Amazing to listen to what they say during their protected time, isn't it? Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly agree that it took a very brave council to try and tackle a countywide problem. And the only thing that could generate that kind of revenue, as we found out, was some sort of sales tax.
Okay, then you're done now.
We knew that the city of Grants Pass voters were already paying $5.50 on top of the 58 cents that the county people pay.
So let's add on more.
58 cents and then pay $5.50 more to try and pay for our city services, which I think we do a very good job of managing as far as the council and as far as staff. And so I think we asked a really tough question. We got a clear answer, and that really helps us go forward because we don't have to talk about that in the near future.
What?
In the near future.
Now they don't have to talk. We've learned a big lesson. It's like the commissioners said after the junk ordinances. Well, now we know what the people don't want. We told you before. Well, that's a very valuable thing that we know now.
Well, and we don't have to think about that for a while.
Yes, I heard that.
Which is obvious that they're going to pull that sucker back up to the front burner as soon as they think they can get it passed. See, this is what's going on.
He told he told the courier that maybe we'll bring it back in a year or two.
Yeah, and see, the thing is, I think these people, I think they get influenced by the staff that is, the permanent staff there. They come in and these people start pounding them. This is what we need. We need this. We need this. We need this. We need more money. We need more money. How are you going to get us more money? And they're thinking, oh my God, how do I get more money? How do I get more money? Get a grant here or whatever. Oh no, none of that works. Oh, the only thing that's going to work is a tax. Oh, I'm stuck.
Okay, now wait, I'm going to go out into the public and I'm going to ask them, well, now where can I do that? Oh, how about at my private exclusive club meeting? And they're going to go to that place, Rotary Club and this, and there used to be other kinds of clubs, but now at the moment it's Rotary Club. And they're going to say, you really need to do this. And boy, that matches very nicely with what the staff says. And then they go to an SOS meeting run by their staff people.
Right.
And they're all hearing there. Do they look around and say, gee, that guy looks familiar. Is that Jay Meredith? Oh, look, here's Connie Roach, the assessor. And they're saying, you got to do it, you got to do it, you got to do it. No lessons learned.
Yeah.
Go ahead, play the next bit. That's amazing.
But I do expect that it would be a chance for the voter to be more engaged this year in the campaigns of our county commissioners and of our 4 city council seats, because it's important who sits up here and it's important who sits over there at the county. And we know that our county-wide system has suffered through a lack of trust. Whether it's warranted or not can be argued all day long, but that trust level just keeps people from even thinking the issues all the way through.
Oh, it's stopping us from thinking. That's the problem. Because we don't trust them, unreasonably don't trust them. We can't think now.
Yeah, see, again, we're too stupid. We're too stupid, and the trust is blocking our brains from seeing, they were right all along. We should have just, that's the problem. I just haven't gone to, listen, I paid my property taxes today, okay? That was a massive chunk. They take an entire month of the income of my building. They don't give me nothing, okay, except a place to be. And they even charge me more for my water and sewer, and so I would be very interested in people that have other solutions besides what these people have. I hope these people are more engaged in the solutions and the picking of it is important who you have up here. We need to have more people that sling out some of the same stuff all the time.
We need to have people we can trust,
there's a short supply.
people you can
Rich,
trust just like us.
well,
who's not listening.
we could debate all day long whether or not those people who mistrust them are right or wrong. And,
Next one. Next.
And then they see a simple concept of no new taxes. They don't have to articulate an argument. All they have to do is say, nope.
Okay, I'm getting sick of this.
We don't have a good argument, so we're saying no.
You know what? Listen,
Good argument, so we're going to say no.
my default thing there is to give these people, a little bit like I always say, don't lump it all on Roy Lindsay or Dandy Young or whatever. That pissed me off. I don't like that at all. He's saying you're dumb.
Yeah.
He's saying you're stupid. He's saying that you are so narrow-minded that you can't even get past, once you hear no new taxes, your brain shuts down.
That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. That's why when I heard that, I thought, oh, we got to play this thing. It's a little bit of a long story from Roy Lindsay again with his imaginary discussion that he had with somebody completely made up who would not listen even when the children were threatened. Play this last one. This is a classic, a new classic.
I met an individual at outside of a meeting hall in the parking lot, and we got to talking, and the subject of the levy came up. It was on the ballot in November. And he said, I'm against it, no new taxes. And I said, well, what about seniors? They need some help and support and protection. He says, I don't care, it's their responsibility, no new taxes. I said, what about children? They need some support now and then to keep them safe. He says, I don't care. It's the parents' responsibility, no new taxes. I said, what about kids that are abused? And we've had more than one presentation that I know of about child abuse and sex trafficking of youth. And he said, I don't care, it's the parents' responsibility, no new taxes. And I said, what about kids that are abused by their parents? And he says, I don't care, it's the parents' responsibility, no new taxes. And I just walked away and I said, we'll never agree on anything.
You know what? I was kind of, Dale wants to, crucify this guy for that thinking. And that he's lying about the guy that, after seeing that again, that's clearly complete BS.
It is. I can't see you.
Yeah.
You're
sorry. Oh, yes.
Dark.
I was in the dark. Yes.
Yes.
I turned the lights back on.
Yes. That's a completely made up story. There's nobody, there's no sane person in the world that could even make that up. But to say,
and sure, he said, "What about children?" And he said, "I don't care." And what about abused children? I don't care. And what about children that are abused by their parents? I don't care.
No new taxes. No new taxes. No new tax. That's all they have to say because they're not thinking. They have no. It's just the noise that destroys. They have no way to even think.
Well, I think the great thing about this, the great illustration that this gives us is when it's time to vet new candidates, we know what questions to ask them to find out where they're headed. Who do they care about? Do you understand what your charge is as a county councilor to represent your ward? Is it to take what somebody else says is good for them, or do you take what your constituents say into account somewhere in the mix? Certainly this is great criteria for vetting these people. Understand that if they're there to push the same old, stuff, that's being generous, as these people are slinging out, that's a no thank you.
The thing that really pushes me over that edge, makes me edgy. The thing that really does that is not the people who are dedicated to their cause. I like that dedicated to your cause kind of thing. I like the fact that people are sticking next to the Republican Party platform on a national basis. I'm not a Republican, but I like the fact that they're sticking to it. And there are certain people, Catholics, okay, I believe in what the Pope says. Okay, I'm cool with that. I don't believe in a lot of that stuff, but I can appreciate the fact that you're sticking to your core principles. What I don't like is that when somebody's saying the reason why you need to do this is not necessarily just because of law enforcement, it's because people won't even listen. That they're saying, I don't care, no new taxes. I don't care, no new taxes. And you try to explain it to them logically, rationally, as Roy Lindsay is well known for being logical and rational, and they still say, I don't care, no new taxes, no new taxes, no new taxes. That's a lie. I don't know anybody like that. If there is anybody like that, it's like one or two. But the vast majority of people have said no to this. That's really insulting.
Yes. If you're like that, or a whole bunch of people like that, write us at badcounty@cpros.com and tell us all about it. Sure like to know, or if you can corroborate, if you're the guy that Roy Lindsay spoke to,
sure,
come on the program and tell us all about it.
Any guy. These are the same people that were parading Cheryl Walker around on their shoulders at the shopping center, saying, "We love you. We're going to vote for this junk ordinances." Remember, she was saying, everywhere I go, people are thanking me for it. 80% no. What happened to all those people,
but
Cheryl?
There is an element of truth. There is an element of truth in what Roy Lindsay said there, and that is that
my name is Roy Lindsay.
No new
is that the element of truth? Wait, where's the truth in everything that he said?
No. Just hang on.
Okay.
When he says. People say no new taxes, and then he says, well, then we're never going to be able to agree on anything. There's your truth right there.
Yes. It's this statement that he made, for me, just like when the mayor said, you asked him what would happen if all these businesses were going out of business. He said, we keep it going for another year or two. That is a symbolic statement that I think rings true with who these two characters are. And everybody should remember that all the way through the election into a new mayor. And when Roy Lindsay is finally near the end of his rope, I don't mean mental, I mean, as far as being in office, don't forget what he said here. And every time he talks to you, you remember he may quote you back to other people as saying, I'm not thinking, I don't want to know anything, I don't want to hear any facts, no new taxes, no new taxes. It's just the noise that destroys. We have solutions to this. We're going to start offering some solutions. We need more than just complaints. It's good that we're informing you about what they're saying. We have solutions, actual things that can be done that range all the way from just clicking on a button to actually doing something, and it's not going to tax you too much of your efforts. There are things that we can do, and if you're upset enough about what you've heard, not just our reactions, but your own reaction, then we're going to give you something to do with that energy. Okay? Thank you for watching us this evening, and we will see you tomorrow night at this same time.